So it's less helpful to think about, I gotta make a portfolio, I'm gonna make these 10 things for this portfolio. Way more helpful just to give yourself projects and know that once you do a lot of them, you will have more than enough work for a portfolio. Hey, my name is Tom Froese. I'm an illustrator and designer in Vancouver, British Columbia. And this is the Making Friends vidcast where I answer your questions about illustration. So I hope you guys are doing well. Today I have some news to share with you guys, and then I'm going to jump right into the Q&A. But first, a little bit of housekeeping. In my last episode, episode 30, where I talked about New Year's resolutions, I also included some of the New Year's resolutions that you guys sent in for me to read and share with the whole community. And unfortunately, the first time I uploaded and published that video, the whole end bit where I did that sharing of your New Year's resolutions got cut off for whatever reason. So I had to take that video down and re-upload. Maybe a few of you guys missed that and just watched up to where it cut off and didn't get that end part, but be sure to go back and check out those New Year's resolutions at the end of the video. The new episode 30 that's up now, that one's all corrected and good, and I appreciate your patience as I kind of work through that technical difficulty. Let's just get into the news here, okay? So first, we reached 1,000 subscribers earlier this month. So that was my goal for 2018, and we were probably a few days off, but we did it. We made it to 1,000 subscribers, and I just wanted to celebrate that with you guys. I really appreciate all the love you guys have been giving me, all the subscribes, all the likes. Don't stop. Every time you like a video, every time it helps you out, please give it a like. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, but it's really helping you out, one of the most helpful things you can do to support what I'm doing here is just to subscribe to the channel. Let me know, vote for this channel by subscribing. Just let me know that you're watching it, you're liking it, you're appreciating the content, and be sure to tell your friends. Don't hoard this all to yourself. Share the love, and be sure to let others know that I'm here answering questions about illustration. I know there's a lot of you out there who are appreciating the content. You guys tell me all the time through email and here in the comments, and of course on Instagram through DMs. I'm really excited that you guys are getting a lot out of this vidcast, and it just makes me want to make more of these. So keep it up, keep liking, keep subscribing, and I'll keep posting videos. So the second point of news is that I'm going to New York in March to give a talk at Skillshare headquarters. So I don't have all the details quite yet. I do know it's going to be March 20th of this year, 2019. In terms of registration and when that opens up, I'll be sure to let you know. I'll probably post something on Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, at Mr. Tom Froese, that's the best place to find out when this event registration will open up. So stay tuned for that. I'm super excited about that. Public speaking is something that I want to do more and more of. Clearly, I like talking about what I do, sharing my experiences, sharing some of my expertise, and giving you guys a leg up. And so this is really a dream come true. I've done a little bit of public speaking here locally, and I had a taste for more international public speaking in 2016 when I spoke at Icon. And so going to New York to give a talk is just a real dream, and I'm super excited and a little bit nervous, a lot nervous, intimidated, but it's gonna happen. I'm gonna do it. I can't wait to do it. And if you live in New York City or the area, be sure to come and check it out. Registration will be limited, and when registration becomes available, I will announce that on my Instagram account. So be sure to follow me there at Mr. Tom Froese. And finally, my third point of news is that I was recently interviewed with my wife on the Creative Playdate podcast. Creative Playdate is illustrator Michelle Condrich's podcast for people pursuing creative careers while also raising children. So excited about being featured and honored to have been interviewed there, and you can learn a little bit about the story of me and my wife and what it's like raising younger children as we pursue creative careers. My wife is a designer, and so the two of us freelance, we work from home, and we're also raising our kids. And if you're at all interested in that world, it's a great podcast. I highly recommend you subscribe to it. and I'll leave the link to that podcast and that episode in the description of this video. So I have no monologue or chit chat for you today. I'm going to just jump straight into the questions. These kind of piled up over the last few weeks, and I'm excited to finally get to them. This first question comes from Instagram from Nora. Her name's Nora. She's responding to my post about my annual report that was on my blog. I talk about this in episode 30, the last episode. Here's what she says. So inspiring, but also feeling a bit overwhelmed after reading your report. It's me, not you, smiley face, because I want to transition myself into a freelance illustrator, exactly what you do, but I really have no idea where to start. Reading all the amazing things you have done and are doing, it makes me feel I can never be where you are. I guess that's just something I need to deal with, not being distracted by the world and focus on what I can do. Hopefully it will work. And so I answered her kind of in the comments here. Thanks, I completely understand where you're coming from. Don't set out to do anything you feel is impossible. Instead, aim to do what you feel is possible for you where you are right now. Success is all relative, not to others, but to your last personal best. It's good to be ambitious and to have a lofty vision of where you want to be, but don't beat yourself up for not being there yet. You have tons of time. Be patient. You'll do things you've never dreamed. So I wrote that. This was just a little dialogue we had in the comments of this Instagram post. But basically, if you look at someone who's like really far ahead of where you want to be in the future, but you haven't really taken many steps toward that, if you're trying to get there and you're not thinking about all the little steps along the way, you're going to get paralyzed and be discouraged because no one makes that big of a leap. I'm a decade into this. There's been lots of groundwork, lots of struggle, lots of work, lots of disappointment and failure and opportunities and things like that. And so the only thing you can do when you're beginning is try and capture that spirit of excitement you have for illustration, that passion, that feeling like I want to do this. And channel that into the things you can do. Sketchbook, draw, write, take classes, share stuff on Instagram, start a blog, make a website, do stuff that is clearly on the path toward your dream. You don't know where that path is ultimately going to lead you. You don't know what opportunities will by chance come your way. You don't know what kind of roadblocks will be in the way down the road. That's just the definition of a journey is you don't know what's ahead, but you can plan a destination and try and get there. Yeah, so maybe you pack a few things first, walk out the door, step onto your driveway, then onto the sidewalk, to the bus stop, get in the bus, take the bus to the train station, take the train station to the airport, get on the airplane. I don't know, I may be extending this analogy too far, but you can only do what you can do now. Be excited about your vision, but be purposeful and intentional about taking the small steps you can take now. So Nora replies after we kind of had this dialogue in the comments of this post on Instagram. And so after I answered her, she comes back and says, I think one of my focuses in 2019 should be looking inward. First things first, get my portfolio done. To be an illustrator, what are the basic subjects I need to be able to get it going? I know you mentioned in your Odd Bodies class you avoid drawing people. Are there subjects that I should definitely be practicing to be a freelance illustrator? For example, still people in action, objects, food, plants, etc. This is great. So you've identified a thing that you can do right now, which is start building a portfolio. The trick, I think, to building a portfolio is twofold. So you want to, of course, try and have enough different kinds of projects so that your portfolio is nicely fleshed out and it has a diversity of subjects and diversity of approach and stuff like that. But you also, if you're really just beginning, you don't want to get stuck trying to make something for your portfolio, because let's just say you need 10 pieces for your portfolio. If you're putting a number on it, you might make one illustration for each of these 10 pieces. I don't think you'll have a strong portfolio. Rather, what you should be doing is just creating lots of projects right now, experimenting, testing different media, testing different subjects, so plants, people, still lifes, and being more conceptual, being more stylized, however it is, you want to make lots and lots of projects. Let's just say if you wanted 10 pieces in your portfolio, you might want to consider doing 30 illustration projects and then picking from that 30 ones that sort of stand out to you as your best. That's what a portfolio is. It's not just like, I made these 10 things and here they are. It's these, I make lots of things and these are the things I think are worth showing the world. I know that's giving you maybe more work than you hoped, but it is something you could do. And I would just say focus on giving yourself one project at a time and doing it well, thinking it through, being intentional about it, and then doing the next. If you try to build a portfolio for its own sake, that might get you stuck. But if you try to give yourself something more about experimenting, exploring, and getting really into your subjects, then that could be really good for you. I mean, for instance, like, you're not good at illustrating people if you only try one project. I think you need to do multiple projects involving people to really get a feel for how you approach people. Similarly, like if you want to do portraits, do a few portraits. You can't just do one portrait and say this is how you do portraits, because you need to prove that you can do that kind of portrait over and again. Same thing with plants. So if you want to do a botanical illustration, do a series of botanical illustrations. Through this process, not only are you going to really create a lot of work to show in a portfolio, you're also going to find yourself gravitating toward one thing more than another, and you learn a lot about your tastes and your inclinations as an illustrator, and it's super helpful. So it's less helpful to think about, I got to make a portfolio, I'm going to make these 10 things for this portfolio. Way more helpful just to give yourself projects and know that once you do a lot of them, you will have more than enough work for a portfolio. And the problem then will not be having enough, but having too much, and then what to pick and which one, what is the best set of illustrations. So that's kind of how I think someone starting out should be thinking about a portfolio. So thanks, Nora, for your question. I really appreciate it. I hope this helps. So this next question comes from Holly Tyler Design. She's also coming to me here over Instagram. And she says, I just read your blog post about finding an agent, and it's something I've been curious about lately. In your opinion, does social media following and engagement affect finding an agent, or is it much more about focusing on your portfolio and style? So I think this is a great question. It's very timely today. For people in general, social media following is kind of a status symbol, but for creatives, I think it is important. We, at least to each of ourselves, we definitely compare ourselves to other creatives based on how influential we appear to be based on social media following, right? I do it, I'm sure you do it. And the question is it valid to do that? And then the real question that Holly's asking is that what agencies are also looking at? Now, disclaimer, I'm not an agent, I have an agent. So I'm not on that side of the relationship where I can say this is what agents are looking for, but I can just assume that social media following, fortunately or unfortunately, does have an effect on how you're perceived. Now, am I saying like you should despair if you have 25 followers on your Instagram account and you're trying to make a name for yourself? No, I think you really truly should focus on your portfolio, your work, your body of work, and your style. Agents do look for a signature style. They typically want to see that you have a voice as an illustrator and that you can do what you do over and again. You're a master of what you do. And they're looking for something that's unique. They're looking for something they can add to their roster of illustrators that fits within their overall mood, or mood's the wrong word. Basically, every illustration agency has a taste, right? It's curated. It's like going to an art gallery, an art show, and everything kind of might be different, but it fits within this world. So every agency has a world that their illustrators fit into. Some are more sartorial and fashiony, others are more arty and like esoteric or something like that, and others are more you know, kids lit and playful and colorful and simple or something like that. And so first of all, you want to look for an agent that has a roster of illustrators that you feel you would fit into, but then they're also going to look to see what new thing can you add to that roster, because you can't have a style that's exactly like another illustrator's style on their roster, because then you're competing against a fellow illustrator that's represented under the same agency. So yes, develop your style, develop your voice as an illustrator, develop your body of work so that it proves that you're good at what you do and that you're good with ideas and concepts and with your technique. And then I think naturally that will attract people to your social media, and people will actually follow you for that. And then the agents, of course, will look at that. My guess is that an agent will probably, if they're anything like me, they're gonna probably look at your social media following and try and size you up that way. But I don't think that's the first thing they're gonna do. They're gonna see your work and like it or not. So worry less about your social media following and more about just making good work. And I'm never one to recommend buying followers. I'm all about organic growth as much as possible. So I would just say, let people come to you and like you for the value that you're giving them, and forget about buying followers and trying that route. That's a bit of a rat race, and I wouldn't recommend going that route. Instead, just make work that you love and let that be evident, and invite others to enter into that through your various ways of sharing on your website, on your Instagram, on your Behance, and wherever else work is being presented these days. Okay guys, I think that's it. Holly, Nora, thank you for your questions. I really enjoyed answering them. I hope that they were helpful for you, and thanks everyone else for watching. Hopefully this episode was helpful for you guys. If I haven't answered your question yet, please let me know in the comments. If you have new questions, let me know. I love answering your questions. That's why I'm here. That's the lifeblood of the content here. As always, you can write them in the comments below. You can find me at Mr. Tom Froese on Instagram. You can also find me on my website, tomfroese.com. And of course, I have a few classes on Skillshare. You can find all the links to these things and more in the description below. Okay guys, I hope you have a great week. Keep making great work and keep asking great questions.